Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So look what I got. Second month in a row, it's been early. Granted, this month it came damaged. Like you can especially see it up here in this corner. It's all bent in and stuff. But hey, I can always get another issue, so it's okay. But I was excited about this issue because they're in at a comic book convention in Argentina. You can see Gambit and Rogue right here. So I think that's fun. And of course, Juggernaut, a lot of girls cosplaying as guy characters, Captain America, Doctor Doom, just Mutina. I called it. She's probably going to be a popular Halloween costume slash comic book convention character just because, it's an X-Men related character, but it's still playing more into the anime aspect. So we're not going to like spend all this time going over who's on the cover because that would take a while. But I think it's fun that they did that. I really enjoy these. Like the Dazzler, I think 30 that I just did on my channel not too long ago. She went to the San Diego Comic Book Convention, so that was pretty cool. Like that's one of the biggest, in this country at least. So we open with a flashback, and um, Valentine, his dad's talking about how he doesn't want him to make friends because he needs to remember his place, his station in life. And really, Valentine realized later that it's just because his dad wanted him to feel isolated and alone so that he have to rely more on him. Which, I mean, yeah, I get that. Like, I've had that happen before to me. But anyway, won't get into that. Yeah. So he has his a butler, his chauffeur, and it's kind of like the only person that cares about him, his only friend, which, of course he's not perfect because you can see him drinking on the job, but he still, took an interest, still cared about him. And I feel like that's a lot in a lot of movies, TV shows, stories where sometimes the rich kid, the only friend they have is like the chauffeur or the butler, which is kind of sad, but I guess true in these stories. So once these guys grabbed him, he realized that his chauffeur was dead because they wouldn't have let he wouldn't have let them take him if he was still alive. And his chauffeur was kind of teaching him how to box, and so he tried, but of course he's only 10 years old, and you can see this mask that one of the kidnappers wears, so that's pretty telling because that's the mask he wears in his costume now. So you can see the the damage. Like I said, it's sad, but it's okay. It happens. So they call his dad to pay the ransom, and he refuses because he's like, we don't, our family does not negotiate. I own the police and all the underground, so you're gonna be sorry, basically. He said, um, that your life will be short, but the ending will be very, very long. So pretty much they end up killing Valentine because the kidnappers, because they're like, well, the dad won't pay the ransom, and now we don't want to leave any witnesses, so they end up killing him. But that's when his mutation's triggered, when the bullet strikes him, and the kidnappers all end up dying because Valentine kills them at 10, which is crazy. And so he says he spent the next 6 years on the streets, just living on the streets and, eating out of the garbage and all that stuff. He didn't want to go back to his dad. Well, I mean, who would after your parent refused to pay the ransom and was like, I don't care what happens to my kid, basically. And the dad is like, how dare you come back after you abandon our family? Which I'm like, what the heck? You're the one that abandoned him. You're the one that wouldn't pay the ransom. So that's crazy. And Wolverine's like, I don't like your dad. And uh Ransom like join the club. So basically, he is there, the dad and Wolverine and Valentine are there to get answers about, the other son um that called Ransom. So they find out where he is. Um the dad's like, I'm, coming to, and they're like, no, you're not. And he's like, I have to, go rescue my son. And Wolverine's like, what the heck? One of your sons, like your other son, is standing right here. And the dad's like, I've sired many boy children. That doesn't make them my sons. And Ransom clarifies and says, he had an affair with my mom, but, and which I don't understand is why he even took him in if he doesn't consider him a son. This whole part confuses me. I know it's like backstory to, you know, kind of explain why Ransom is the way he is, but it doesn't make sense because if he didn't consider him a son, then why would he even take him in? Of course, he didn't treat him like a son, but anyway, he's like yelling at Ransom because he's not part of his family. He's not a true, whatever his last name is. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Because he was born without a heart, and that's the very definition of a member of this family, which I'm like, again, I don't understand this because he doesn't seem like he has a heart. Like, he doesn't seem like, of course he has a heart, but, you know, when you say have a heart, that means like you need to care about something. Anyway, I was just like very confused by this. Like, I didn't understand. So they're like, yeah, you're not coming with us. Give us the keys to your car. We're taking this. And so they take the car, and it's like 3 hours away. So they're advertising all these new events that are going to happen in November and December. Like, here's another one. Like, I don't know what exactly what Ultimate Endgame is about. I haven't heard anything about that one. So meanwhile, they're talking about a dance. Um, Death Dream is like, yeah, I know how to dance. Psylocke taught me, which I thought was a really cute moment at the Hellfire Vigil, where she was teaching him how to dance. Um, and Becca is encouraging him to go pick someone cute and ask them to go to the dance with him. And he's like, I don't want to. I'd rather just eat pudding. Which, like, I've never been to a dance, but I'm sure I didn't miss anything really. Oh, and so here's another one of those events that I was talking about. This is like a mini series where the Avengers have to join with the heroes of, so to speak, of this era to, during the American Revolution, which I'm like, okay, I love history, so I'll probably pick it up, but it's probably going to be goofy. I don't see how they can make it not a little bit goofy. I mean, I'm sorry because especially if they're like, and when they did like the 1602 story series, they actually put them in period costumes. And of course, this looks like they're going back to that time period. So they're going to be in their modern costumes, and everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like I said, it's going to be a little bit goofy. But time travel kind of usually has a little aspect of goofiness to it, especially when you go back to this time period. So anyway, it'll be interesting. I'll like I said, I love history, so I'll probably pick it up. That starts in November. But anyway, sorry. Just kind of saw that and thought, interesting. So this girl comes over to their table that they're sitting at, and um, she asks Death Dream if he's going to the dance. And he's like, no, maybe, well, no. And then he goes, yes. And she's gives him this little coffin she made, and it's sparkly and it smells like strawberries. And she's like, well, I'm going too. Maybe I'll see you there. I made this for you. and he's a little bit awkward, but he just is like, it smells like strawberries. He says, I think I love her. Do I love her? I hate emotions. Probably because, of course, he's not used to having emotions like this. Because when told him when Valentine and Wolverine told him last issue that he couldn't go with them to rescue, his half brother, he got really sad because Valentine called him like his little brother and thought, well, family's supposed to help each other. Family's supposed to, be with each other. So he was sad and crying because they told him he couldn't go. So I feel like he has not experienced emotions, like hardly any emotions, like ever. And that's why he's just like, I don't know what to do with these. Oh, and so we have an advertisement for the next, like the 10 years in the future sort of thing story that happens, starts next month. Like the next issue of Uncanny X-Men will actually be, in this series. Um, I don't know. I just, the whole alternate future stories, I feel like we've done that so many times, or they have done that, not we, because I'm not part of that. I feel like they've done that so many times that after a while you're kind of like, mm, because it doesn't ultimately doesn't matter. Because it's not like 10 years, like literally 10 years in the future in, our time, they're gonna actually stick to this. Like that's not gonna happen. So I feel like it kind of is. I feel like those stories are kind of like a what if story. What if this happened? Because like I said, in 10 years time there's going to be so many more stories that this is not going to make sense. So anyway, I just feel like it kind of has no bearing on the current characters. I mean, it's cool to read, but it doesn't have, it's not like this is actually going to happen. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so we're at the comic book convention. You can see there's a huge thing fan foom up front, up top. So that's pretty cool. And Wolverine's like, what do they do at these conventions? And Ransom's like, everything, oh well, pretty much everything awesome, which I agree. And you can see some more characters. You can see Black Cat and Angela, and there's a couple Savage Land rogues. There's Deadpool's doing the whole Spider-Man meme. Wiccan, Doctor Doom, just Luna Snow, just Spider-Man, different characters. And oh, I love this part. So this girl comes up to Wolverine. She's dressed kind of like Jean, and she's like, "Can I take a picture with you?" Because, you see someone cool in their cosplay and you ask them if they can take a picture. I mean, I've done that, and I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" Which when they do, I'm super flattered. I'm like, "Sure, let's take a picture." So anyway, there was there was one time I was dressed up like Rogue, and there was a whole group that came together and they were dressed as X-Men characters. They didn't have a Rogue like in their group, and I said, "Oh, can I take a picture with you guys?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay." That's the only time I've asked someone if I could take a picture with them where they said no, which I'm not sure why they said no, but I was just like, "Oh, okay." Because, like I said, I thought it would be cool to take a picture with me as Rogue surrounded by other X-Men. Because I don't have like a bunch of friends that I can get together and say, hey, let's all cosplay as X-Men characters and let's go to this convention together. Um, Usually when I go with friends, they, A, don't dress up, or B, it's just like one friend. So anyway, it was cool to see a whole group of X-Men characters, and I thought, oh, well, that's fun. They don't have a rogue. Maybe they'll let me take a picture with them. Like, if they had already had a rogue in their group, I can understand why they're like, no, we don't want a picture. That's kind of weird because we already have a rogue. But yeah, they were like, no. I'm like, okay then. Like I said, that's the only time that um someone has said no. But I was just like, oh, okay. And then just went on about my day. Anyway, so she's like, "Can I take a picture with you?" Because, she loves his cosplay. And because she doesn't know it's like the actual Wolverine. And he's pretty much like speechless. He says, "Oh, my stars," and he was about to say, "Oh, my stars and garters," like Beast always says. And he's like, because at first he's like, he didn't see her. And he's like, "Lady, I'm in the middle of something at the moment." Because she's like, "Can I take a?" Because she's tapping him on the shoulder, like behind. And then she turns around and she's gorgeous and she looks like she's kind of dressed like Jean. And so he's like, "Never mind, sure, we can take a picture." And she's like, "Do you mind if I post this on Instapics?" Instagram basically. And he's like, "I don't know what that is." And she's like, "Smile." And he's like, "Lady, I'm going to be smiling all day." And she's like, "You're staring." He's like, "You're kind of dressed up as someone I had feelings for." She's like, "Are you in the cosplay contest? Because you look so much like Wolverine. Like you look just like Logan." And she's like, "I'd almost swear you were." And he's like, "I get that a lot." And he kisses her hand and he's like, "Thanks for the moment." And so you have these guys who are, there's the half brother and they're gearing up for something. And the half brother's like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. And they're like, yeah, it's too late. Our message must be heard. We've trained for this. you know, our message. What even is our message? The half brother asked. And he's like, one of the guys is like, "That's blasphemy. You're risking being a target." And he's like, "I'm not going to kill innocent people just because. Like, I just wanted to belong somewhere, but this is not what I wanted." And so he speaks out and he's like, "Listen, everyone, this is not a joke. There's going to be a terrorist attack here. Everyone get out of the convention center now." And then we have more of the 10 years from today stories. Um, Danny leading the X-Men. Kid Omega has his Omega kids, Cloak and Dagger. And it says there's always a spark of light in the darkness. Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard much about Cloak and Dagger lately. They're one of my favorite duos. I think that's so cool. The whole light and dark thing. And so the guys are saying, "Shoot the traitor." And meanwhile, the half brother is still trying to get everyone to leave. And Valentine is just kind of looking at him, thinking, you know, that he never treated him like a brother. Like he always threatened him, always told him, like, "You don't really belong to this family. You're not a real, whatever their last name is." Oh, and you see Gamora down there sipping on a drink. And so Valentine and Wolverine, like, oh, and you see Throg up there, the Thor frog, and the Destroyer. Like I said, this issue was fun because there's all these little cameos. And so they're like, "How come, this guy is only targeting young men?" And the half brother's like, girls are a big part of his movement too." And you have girls attacking Wolverine. I love that they had a girl cosplaying as Cyclops punching Wolverine in the jaw. And I want to say that up top with the blonde hair, that's Dazzler. And I don't think that the girl in the headband is supposed to be Rogue because she's wearing leopard print. And Rogue, even as savagely in Rogue, never wore leopard print. Not with that, like that hair and that headband and everything. Like she did dress up as a native in order to, create a distraction so that Nick Fury and the Shield team, etc., could move in. But yeah, she didn't have the hair. So I'm not sure who that's supposed to be honest. So Valentine's like, yeah, go ahead to the guy with the gun. You don't, don't want to do this. So of course he does it. He shoots him. And then you see there's the guy in charge, the guy in the white cloak. And Valentine's like, you just made a big mistake. Oh, and then the whole Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. And this is the third time that he's killed the Marvel Universe, apparently. Because, Deadpool, he's popular. Like, everybody likes Deadpool, apparently. So, in the last issue, Valentine talks about how he faces depression a lot of times and he gets sad. But he's like, it's been happening a lot less lately. Maybe it's the beignets, which if I had beignets every day, well, okay, granted, I couldn't do that because then I would gain a lot of weight. But beignets are really good. I've only had them like authentic ones once, but they were really good. And then he says maybe it's the cats. I'm like, oh, the cats aren't in this issue, but at least they're mentioned. And then he says maybe it's cinnamon pretzels, Death Dream's favorite. Maybe it's two girls who found each other. Maybe it's the slight smell of brimstone, Nightcrawler. Maybe it's the light show Jubilee shares when she's had a beer or two. That's funny. Maybe it's just that X is family, and that's what Death Dream has been saying that like X means family. So here, we have yeah, and there's a female Black Bolt. So here's this guy, and he's like, the head of whatever. He's like, "Do you not hear me? Kill them. Start with the traitor." And so his whole deal is that he can give people powers. And so the dad walks in and he's like, "I have your money," because the whole thing was this guy wanted money for the half brother. And so the half brother's like, Valentine saved me. And then he said, yes, and he saved me a good deal of money in doing it. Perhaps he is a Correa? Is that how you say the last name? After all. And then Wolverine's like, Mister. And he's like, shut the hell up. And he punches him. And they have a moment, which I forgot about. They have a moment, the half brother and Valentine, where Valentine's like, why did you treat me so badly? And the half brother's like, I just wanted what you wanted. I wanted my father to love me. And the dad shows up. Yeah, the dad shows up and says, I brought all this money for your ransom. Does that not prove I love you? Which that's kind of a slap in the face to Valentine, considering he did not pay his ransom and just was like, I don't care what you do with them, just kill him. Anyway. And then Wolverine says, uh-oh, here comes like the half brother's like, Valentine, can you ever forgive me? And he's like, you helped save these people. I'll try. And then Wolverine's like, uh-oh, here comes the fans. And this girl cosplaying as Doctor Strange is like, excuse me, are you actually the X-Men? And Wolverine's like, well, yeah, we are. Do you want me to sign something? But no, they all crowd around Ransom and they're like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Oh, one of our own is an X-Men. How cool is that? And so, yeah, you can just see them crowding around him. And he just kind of has this moment where he's like, you know, this guy, the proctor, the guy who's in charge, preyed on people who felt unwanted and unloved. And he said, I was once like that. Then I learned X means family, X means father. So, because there's Wolverine giving him a thumbs up. So I really like this issue. It was fun with all the cosplayers and stuff. And yeah, just made it's just fun because of the all the cosplay that they had. And I'm pretty sure I saw another Mutina cosplay in the actual convention in the pages. Oh, I love this girl's cosplay. The spider gown. That's so fun. Like I've always kind of wanted to do something like really like dressed up, you know, cosplay of something like that. Anyway, so like I said, the next issue is going to be part of the 10 years in the future sort of thing. So, I mean, since I have a subscription, then I will get that. But I see, this is the other thing about crossovers. I don't think I will get any of the others though, because I mean, yeah, I subscribed to this one because Rogue is my favorite. So, of course, I wanted to, you know, get this. But I don't know if I'll get all the others. I That gets to be expensive. So, I probably will just pass and have, catch up later, I guess. Oh, yeah. So there it is. The other place where I saw Mutina, and there's a female Iron Fist. It's on this page. Anyway, so this issue was a whole lot of fun for all the Easter eggs, so to speak, that had in it, and it also had a lot of heart. So I really liked this issue. So I hope you guys will join me in the future for more issues. Until next time, bye.